Welcome to Gunkel Tarot. My name is Brian Griffin, and I am doing my my video response to Katie Flower's Only 10 Decks. This is not just a video version of the blog post response I did last week. I have reconsidered my choices based on watching other people's videos, the arrival of my last not originally planned deck purchase for the year, and just contemplating realistically how I would work with clients going forward. So here are my 10 decks. They are not in ranked order. They are grouped in ways that I think will make sense to people going forward. So here is my first deck. This is Morgan Greer. This is the Morgan Press edition. U.S. Games later chopped 1/8 of an inch or 3/16 of an inch off the width, so you can tell the older cards by that extra width. So, a fairly well-known deck. Let me see how this lighting is going. Oh, there we go. Let's see. I'm using all natural lighting, and it's a sunny day, and that's great, but except for the effect. So here we have the couple of cards. So again, Morgan Greer, the first deck I ever bought, and this is my first copy of Morgan Greer. I later bought a second copy, which is the one I use for clients. So this is the deck that I use strictly for personal readings, and that is definitely one. The next two decks are also part of the history. This is the Sacred Rose Tarot. U.S. Games put out a mass market open edition in 1982, but in 1980, they did a limited edition, majors only, foil-edged deck. So I thought about bringing only the mass market edition, which I did buy later, but this is the one that I really use more than the other one, pretty much for personal readings only at this point. So that is number 2, the Sacred Rose Tarot, limited edition, majors only. The third deck, and again, part of my history, when I moved to Ohio in 1996, I had 5 tarot decks, all published by U.S. Games, 3 non-tarot decks from different mainstream publishers, all of them featuring what we would call First Nations, or what down here are known as Aboriginal or Indigenous peoples traditions. So co-created by Jamie Sands, who also did the Medicine Cards deck, which are all animal-based cards. I chose this one, although I have both, because it is a wider range of imagery. It's various traditions, as I said, Aboriginal or Indigenous peoples from the Americas, a little more broadly than the animals deck. So those 3 are the history portion, will represent my history in deck buying. The next 4 decks are paired, a non-tarot and tarot deck. I happen to, in each case, be from the same creator. They're paired simply because they do work well together. So this one is the Deviant Moon. Let me move here and see if I can, there we go. I am going to move things around and hopefully be the shadow that will cut down the glare. So the Deviant Moon, borderless, Patrick Valenza. I'm late to the Patrick Valenza party. When I moved down here, I decided to start a career, which was something I had never done before. I had simply worked. So I got distracted. I now have 5 of his various decks, which is a small portion of his output. And these are the 2 that would make it to my 10 decks. The Oracle matching non-tarot Oracle is the Abandoned Oracle. And it's interesting that I don't particularly like spooky decks. They don't frighten me so much as in most cases they just nothing. They get no response. Patrick's artwork does it. The Deviant Moon has so much life-affirming imagery, and it's not funny, but it's humorous. And so it takes the edge off in a way that other decks don't, but still gets the message across. So this is the Abandoned Oracle as the Patrick Valenza pair. The next two decks will shock nobody, I don't think. The Light Seers Tarot and the Sacred Creators Oracle. Both are mass merch versions from Hay Publishing, Hay House rather. I'm new to indie decks, but I'm now I'm supporting some, but my background is still keeping the price down through buying mass market where possible. Again, this is a deck most people are familiar with, certainly most collectors and readers who are looking at decks these days. It's the Light Seers Tarot, and pairing it with the Sacred Creators Oracle. This is the only Oracle deck with sort of positivity, perky messages that I would ever own. That's not my life. That's not my approach to life. For better or worse, I want the Patrick Valenza life is insane, what are you doing here message rather than the others. This one works for me because it goes well with Light Seers, and I have a lifelong commitment to supporting creatives, whether that's artists, writers, crafters, business people who think outside the box. Creativity and humor are my life approach, and those decks just seem to work with it. The last three decks are grouped together because these are decks I don't currently use, but they will give me a lifetime of study to expand my range. So they certainly would come with me as only 10 decks. The Lunar Nomad Oracle by Shaheen Miro is basically a Lenormand deck, but unlike traditional Lenormand decks that have just a picture of the item in question on a pretty blank background, Shaheen has done full images, sort of collage-y, which is not really usually my style, but certainly it works within the deck as he's put them together. I love the big cards. Obviously, rifle shuffling is a bit of a problem, but they are certainly gorgeous cards, and they will help me as I study the Lenormand system. So that is my first study deck, and you can see in that slipcover there is both the box of cards and the guidebook, which is a good size. And then the second study deck, Rainbow Kipper, book by Tony Poole and art by Stephen Bright. And people who know Stephen's work, oh, that's not going to do that. Okay, so people who know Stephen's work from his Spirit Within Tarot will, I think, see his hand in the artwork. So Kipper does a main character, and so he has created these 4 versions. So you have different representations of people and heading in different directions, which, as I understand it, is important in Kipper. It's called Rainbow because they are color-coded. So you see we have red cards, green cards, yellow cards, and blue cards. Too close to the camera. There we go. And again, comes with a guidebook to help you study. So that is my second study deck. And so the last deck, certainly not the least. It is also, as I said, the newest deck. It has just arrived. It is the Spirit Keepers Tarot, 3rd edition, Revelations edition. And there are a number of great walkthroughs. And they are wonderful artwork. And the biggest reason I got them is because you can teach old dogs new tricks. And so 2022 is going to be my Benabel Wen year. This is her book, Holistic Tarot, a couple of years out. This is the guidebook for the Spirit Keepers Tarot called Book of Maps. And it is only 700 plus pages. You get a PDF when you buy the deck from Benabel, but you can also get it printed on demand at Lulu, which is great for those of us who can't read 700 pages on a flat screen and who just like to have books in our hands. Also, you get a journal. And again, I went to Lulu to get it printed on demand. So lots of information, pages for readings. You'll see I've already decided to tab the daily portions, the individual draws, readings, and a lot of the other information tables. I'm not showing the cards because I haven't really played with the deck yet. I only flipped through it quickly. Her artwork is so incredible. As I understand it, most of these are based on the artwork from the 1st edition, which was black and white, though there may have been some changes. And the addition of the color certainly makes it a little easier to see details. So that is the 10th deck, the 3rd study deck, and those are my only 10 decks. Thanks for watching.